Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, it just gets juicier and juicier and juicier as the last little bit of credibility that the Black Lives Matter organization has continues to evaporate. I mean, I just made a video on Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrisse Khan-Cullors, focusing her activism on freeing Jussie Smollett from jail. Clearly guilty Jussie Smollett from jail because his bed isn't comfy enough. That's the focus of these leftist activists. In other words, they're a bunch of frauds. And I went in on Black Lives Matter with that video, and then literally the next day, reports start to come out of another Black Lives Matter activist organizer, a leader who was named Woman of the Year in Boston, Massachusetts, her and her husband now being charged for conspiracy and fraud. Guess what? You guessed it. Fundraising off the black community through Black Lives Matter and other organizations on the shoulders of George Floyd and other individuals, only to take that money and give themselves massive salaries and spend it on a bunch of frivolous luxuries. You can't make this stuff up, folks. Absolutely stupid once again. But a continued trend with these BLM activists. Let me show you guys what's going on here, but of course, before we get into any of it, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, hidden from non-subscribed viewers. With that out of the way, let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so the question we constantly ask ourselves is, where is the money? Black Lives Matter, the actual organization, the national organization, is facing financial scrutiny, potential audits. They got ousted from Seattle and Washington State. They got ousted from California. Amazon kicked them off their fundraising platform, all because Black Lives Matter, the organization, refuses to be transparent about where the money is going. Probably because they don't want us to find out that it's going to various different Democrats in their campaigns, as well as being funneled through other organizations for people like Patrisse Khan-Cullors to expand their luxury real estate portfolio. Well, in this case, we know exactly where the money is going. Take a look at this. Black Lives Matter activist named Bostonian of the Year, whose nonprofit raised $1 million, is charged with squandering much of it on rent arrears, $1,200 hotel stay, and meals at Bubba Gump Shrimp Co. and Shake Shack after being arrested at her $450,000 home. A BLM activist and her husband accused of collecting approximately $33,000 in unemployment payments and using an unspecified amount of donation money to treat themselves to meals at Bubba Gump Shrimp Co., vacations and trips to the nail salon. Monica Cannon Grant, 41, and her husband Clark Grant, 38, of Taunton, Massachusetts, who founded the nonprofit organization Violence in Boston, were charged in an 18-count indictment with wire fraud, conspiracy, and making false statements to a mortgage lending business, the U.S. Attorney's Office said in a statement on Tuesday. Cannon Grant also faces a mail fraud count. She has denied all allegations made against her. The indictment alleges the couple used the funds to pay for personal expenses, including hotels, car rentals, auto repairs, restaurant meals, nail salons, and personal travel, prosecutors said. Cannon Grant also allegedly paid herself $2,700 a week and treated herself to a $450,000 five-bed house in Taunton, Massachusetts last year. She is accused of using much of the $1 million raised by her nonprofit, Violence in Boston, for good causes. Her salary jumped from $25,000 in 2020 to $170,000 in 2021. Excuse the laughing, but it's the same nonsense that we're always dealing with. Jussie Smollett being the worst criminal I've ever seen in my life, and it seems as though a lot of these activist types feel like they're untouchable, like they can just do whatever and nobody's going to suspect a thing. Investigate. And just take a look at this report right over here.
In June 2019, Cannon Grant accepted a $6,000 grant for violence prevention from a Massachusetts district attorney's office. Prosecutors say that money instead went to a nail salon, going out to eat, hotel rooms, fuel costs, and car rentals. Authorities also say the couple collected more than $100,000 in pandemic unemployment assistance, though Cannon Grant was earning tens of thousands of dollars in consulting fees, and her husband was earning weekly pay from a job. The couple's accused of using the money on plane tickets, new furniture, to defray the cost of a motorcycle, and more.
She got a $6,000 grant from a Massachusetts district attorney's office, and being the genius that she is, she went and withdrew some of the funds from an ATM, stayed at a hotel, went to restaurants, went to the nail salon, filled up her car, rented a car. She's on vacation. I mean, those are literally the bills of going on vacation. She accepted a $6,000 grant, which she was supposed to give back to the community. I mean, just listen to what she said here.
We have to realize that, like, all of us have to work together. And if some of us are doing a little bit better than others, then we should reach in to help.
She got the money to help her community and went on vacation, stayed in hotels, did her nails, while claiming to represent the little guy and people who aren't doing as well as her, and then goes and lives the high life. Completely ridiculous, but honestly, totally expected. This is exactly what we expect from these activist types. And the saddest part is that in intercity communities, there's a lot of kids that are in some serious need, and there's a lot of money moving hands, which could actually make a difference. Schools that are in need of repair equipment in schools, sports complexes, community centers, textbooks, you name it. There's a million different things that I could think about that inner city communities need, and the money is moving hands, and it's being spent on doing the nails of these vile figures, of these con artists, these liars, these people who see instances like what happened with George Floyd and view it as an opportunity to enrich themselves while promoting an activist message. It's frankly disgusting. And when you question it, when you investigate it, they have the gall to say that you're the bad guy, that the only reason you're investigating is because it's a woman POC. I mean, that's literally what Patrice Cancouler said. The only reason this is a story at all, the only reason anyone's investigating me or promoting this stuff is due to my skin color. It's just a bunch of white supremacists who are trying to come after me because of my activism work. Now, how about you explain how you went from a college student who most likely had a bunch of college debt to an activist who's supposed to be part of a non-profit but accumulates a net worth probably close to like $10 million easily in less than a decade? How does that happen? Is that not a question worth asking? It's not even political at this point. It's just don't insult my intelligence. You know, if you see some guy who's got nothing and then all of a sudden he's driving in a Bentley with a big gold chain, you're probably going to think, I wonder what illegal activities this individual is doing. Well, it's the same thing with these fundraising and charity and activist scams. It's the same thing, and there has to be answers. Black Lives Matter as an organization fundraised nearly $100 million, at least that's what we know. There's now even people looking into it, claiming that that number might not actually be the real number. To be honest, $100 million feels extremely low considering the notoriety and the white guilt that was being passed around in the summer of 2020. And now we have the National BLM organization hiding money and refusing to open their books. If that's not fishy, then I don't know what is. We've seen countless interviews, so many people, actual activist individuals in Minnesota and other areas, people who run churches, people who run nonprofits that are on the street providing services for the communities, and they have said explicitly, Black Lives Matter came into our community, fundraised off of our problems. We saw millions upon millions upon millions of dollars going to them when they don't even live here, and then we didn't see a dime. They didn't reinvest any of it. They haven't even given us a phone call. That is literally what happened, and we're not allowed to question it, because if we do, then the left accuses us of being white supremacists or white nationalists, which is completely backwards. The people who are exposing these con artists and this fundraising scam, which of course in turn means that we're fighting for the actual communities receiving the money that is desperately needed, we're somehow on the white supremacist right. And these lefties, like they always do, continue to enable and apologize for this despicable behavior. If anybody should be pissed that Black Lives Matter is constantly embroiled in this type of financial scandal and that communities on the ground haven't seen a dime, it should be you lefties who put BLM in your Twitter bio, ACAB and all of this other nonsense. You basically made it your identity, your online persona, but it was always about you and it was never about the community themselves, because if anybody should be pissed, it's you. I put out a community post about a month, maybe 2 months ago, when we were covering all the legal troubles that Black Lives Matter is going through, and I said, man, if I had donated to Black Lives Matter, I would be pissed right now. And this is what I don't understand. How are people who donated to this organization and have absolutely no idea how their money was used, how are they not pissed? And there has to be some transparency with this stuff. When you're collecting millions upon millions upon millions of dollars, you shouldn't be able to just funnel it into your pocket, into your bank account, buy yourself a home, go on lavish vacations, go to restaurants, and go to nail salons without immediate accountability. It's absolutely absurd. And actually the craziest part about this story that I was initially covering, not only did this individual fraudulently fundraise over $1 million and basically put all of it in her pocket, her and her husband's pocket, but apparently at the same time, she's also accused of fraudulently obtaining $100,000 in pandemic relief and lying on a mortgage application. So it wasn't enough that she was scamming her own community for $1 million. She also thought it'd be a great idea to scam the taxpayer for $100,000 in pandemic relief. Completely ridiculous. But it's honestly par for the course with these activist types. This is just what you'd come to expect from BLM. None of it surprising in the least. That's what I got for you guys though. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share it as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, hidden from non-subscribed viewers. I'm gonna get back to work though. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.